That's okay. When I was doing training about 2 years ago, I had vocal cord dysfunction, still have it, but I'm managing it now. And I think people thought I was dying. So, so if you're coughing here and there, you're actually it's to be
I
expected.
think it's because I've been on like the phone all day. When I talk a lot, it just gets very, I don't know. I've tried drinking, it's not working. So
Maybe you've got vocal cord dysfunction. Maybe vocal cords are tired after the big day. You need some
I
speech
don't know.
pathology exercises to get you going. This is exactly what people were expecting when they logged into the recording of this session. It's a quick chat about vocal cord dysfunction. So I just want to welcome everybody to tonight's session. Thank you so much for those of you who have shown up. I really appreciate it. We've actually had a little bit of a conversation before the recording started so that I can get to know where everyone's at, and also I've got a couple of notes here that I'm going to address as we go through our session, so hopefully I can answer some questions for you that may be sitting there and making you feel a little bit blocked moving forward. And you're welcome to have camera on or off, absolutely your choice. So tonight's training is about for people who want to launch their business and they want to have a clear plan, they want to have strong foundations, and they don't want to just be working with all of the people. I don't want you to finish, to start your business thinking that your ideal client is, for example, women in business or people with a small business or sole traders. I want you to narrow it down so much more than that, because you cannot market to groups that broad. It's just absolutely impossible. And I know that you have skills that you can really tailor for set audiences. So if you want to sort of start getting an idea around how that could look and making sure that your foundations are strong to support you with that, then that's what I'm all about. So you want to work in a business that's taken seriously. I don't do a lot of training with people who want to set it up as a hobby. I'm all about setting up a proper business where you're working the hours that you want to work, you're working towards the revenue that you want, and you're working with people who inspire you and make you feel really good about the skills that you have and what you can bring to the table, and also challenge you, but in really good ways. So what I'd like all of my anyone who comes into my community, in the Virtually Yours community, I would like for them to know who their ideal clients are, and for those clients to be ones, basically you want to say my ideal client is business owners who love me. And I can describe those people in this particular way. So getting to know who absolutely loves the service that you have, the way you deliver it, they're happy to pay the price that you put on it, and they're just ticking all of those boxes, just saying, yep, you're delivering what I want. So that's not going to be everyone. I tell people all the time, not everybody loves Chris Hemsworth, and that just blows my mind. But apparently not everyone does. So they're not all going to love you either. And that's okay, because if Chris can handle it, we can handle it. Okay, and I want you to feel confident about who you can support and how you can support them. So that's what we're all about. Now, if you don't like having free content that actually delivers some stuff that you can take action on, then this session is not for you. You can shut down the computer and you can go and have your dinner. That's absolutely fine. I do talk about the Stellar Virtual Assistant training in this session tonight. I don't just sit here and pitch it to you. I will tell you about it at the end though. And for those people who do like the stuff that I share with you and do want to sign up with that, you do get, and you sign up to the Stellar course, you get lifetime access rather than the 12-month access that people would normally get. So that's my offer for you tonight if you want to sign up for that. But no pressure. My main aim is for you to go away understanding some of the things that people do when they start their business off that really hold them back, or really sort of stuff up that whole, starting your business without wasting time, effort, and money, which is what I'm all about. So we'll go through a couple of those things tonight, and I want you to be able to take action on those straight away. So to do that, I talk about two avatars who help me explain where you might be in your business versus where you'd like to go in your business. So I want to introduce you to, I call her Glenda the Gatherer. I'm quite envious of Glenda's hair. I love her hair. So what Glenda does is she always responds to Facebook posts where people go, hey, I need a VA. And they go, me. She's always like, I'll help you, even though she doesn't quite know what it is that they're after, because she can help with anything, right? She does all the things. And they don't really know yet what they need help with. That's why they're posting on Facebook. But that's okay, because you kind of, she's sort of desperate for work. So she'll kind of put her hand up for anything. And so she's offering general admin. She's saying she can do all the things. And of course, she's not charging very much because she's a generalist. And being a generalist is okay as long as you're, you know how that's going to impact in your business. Being okay at a whole lot of things is not going to bring you the revenue that you want. And I'm not talking about making $1 bazillion or anything like that, but you want to be strategic and effective in your business, and that's not going to work. So she's also researching all the tech. She's the sort of person who goes, Rosie, do you know free programs that I can do with my bookkeeping? I also need a free program that's going to do my social media management, and a free program that I can do my design work on, because I've got no money for it. And I'm just going to spend hours and hours looking for the free stuff to try and, tick all the boxes and get things happening. And I'm also going to look at all the programs because I don't know which ones I'm actually going to need. And I'm worried that I'm going to need to know all of them. So there's a lot of time wasting going on. We're going to talk a little bit more about that tonight. And so it's like, okay, cool. When Glenda responds to those job leads, so where it might be on Facebook post when she goes, me, or maybe she joins the Virtual Eagles Network and responds to the job leads we have there. And she says, hey, I can help. She's getting crickets. Or maybe someone contacts her and says, I heard that you do this sort of work. Can you help? And she puts a pitch forward and then nothing. Right? Because she's not quite sure what problem she solves and who she solves it for. So no one's receiving her content and going, yes, that's me. That's me who you help. Yay, right? So she's trying to do all of the things and she's getting nowhere. Does this resonate? Do any parts of that resonate with you? I know, Sarah, you're like with the software programs, yes? Digging a little bit of a software program tunnel to China. Anything else?
I think all of it resonates. I'm so eager to do the work that I just kind of take it all. I've taken things I didn't know before and then had to admit, oh, I don't actually know how to do this.
Yeah.
And the person that it was for was really super cool. And I understood the request wrong rather than taking something I didn't know, but they were super cool. And he was like, you know what, let's just look it up together. We'll do it together and I'll pay you part of what I would have paid you. And
that's so lucky.
It worked out in the end, but we did it together because I had
no idea. It's like, I'll just jump and work it out on the way down. So there's parts of your business, honestly, where you do that. That's going to happen. But I don't recommend doing that with taking on client work unless you're.
I did that with SEO. That's how I learned SEO, with someone wanted it and I didn't know how to do it.
So you went and learned it.
I went and learned it.
Yeah.
But it made good money.
There you go. And if it's something that you're planning on offering, or you think, I actually really want to learn that, and there's an opportunity for you to get pushed to learn it a bit quicker, by all means, but you've got to be clear with your client that this is what's happening here. I'm not a big believer in, saying yes and then working it out without communicating that to the people that are actually, vested in what's happening and who are going to be impacted by whether or not you succeed with that. So communication, and I already get the impression that your communication is really good. So communication. Yeah, well, I've seen your written communication and I've seen you on this call, and I can see that you're very clear and articulate and friendly. So, that really helps and goes a long way towards connecting with potential clients, because one of the big things that we forget is we're all human. We're just human beings. And
I think my biggest issue is confidence, honestly. I know what I know. I can sit and say, I know how to do this and this and this. I mean, you see my resume, there's a ton of stuff on there. I don't know how to word it properly, and I don't have the confidence to say, okay, I'll do that for you, but this is how much I charge.
Yeah.
I just want to make income so bad for my family that I'll just kind of be like, oh, pay me what you think I'm worth. And they're like, okay, cool, $20.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's not what I had in mind.
No. Yeah. And that's something that's a real trap. I talk to people a lot about how people that start off with virtual assistant businesses can sometimes be coming into something like this because they've got a background of supporting other people, right? They're pretty good with computers, but what's brought them here, and this isn't everyone, but I do see this a lot, what's brought them here is some kind of workplace harassment or trauma or, bullying, toxic culture. They're trying to escape it and they're trying to regain their own independence and control over things. Or they're balancing so much when it comes to their family or their health that they're like, all right, I need to create something that I can control, because working in a job, I'm going to be constantly asking for permission to take, to account for all these other things that are in my life. And full-time employment and often part-time employment just don't allow for that. They don't support people with that. They say they do, but they don't. So people come into these roles and they've got, the pressure on them because they're trying to juggle all the things, or they're a little bit psychologically traumatized by, things that have happened to them that have brought them here. So when you're new and you're starting your VA journey, I think it's really important. This is one of the things we do look at. But I think some people really need to go deep with this, is looking at yourself and your own mental health and your own structures, your supports, because you are, like, without you, it's not going to happen. But also, if you start a business and you don't have those things in place, you could end up, as you're saying yes to jobs that pay nothing, spending time in your business, which is going to be at the cost of potentially, family and friends, but actually not making any more than you're spending keeping your business going, because you have to work out what you need to be earning and then be really solid on that, because you're going to have expenses. So you need to know what your revenue is going to be. You need to know what your profit and loss is going to be. Otherwise, you're just saying yes, and then you get to tax time and you go, okay, well, yay, I don't have to pay any tax because I didn't earn a damn cent and I'm knackered and I've actually helped a whole lot of people. How's this happened? So we want to make sure.
Beginning of the year, I was working about 50 hours a week and being paid for like 10, if that. Because I was going out and chasing these leads and creating them for myself, actually going to businesses and trying to talk them into redoing their logos and their websites and stuff. And they're like, either they were really receptive or they were completely insulted. No medium.
Yeah. So with branding stuff, you need to develop a portfolio. Obviously, you need to be showcasing. That's something where you visually are showcasing your skills, and get those testimonials in wherever you can. But also thinking about what sort of businesses can I target who would resonate with the sort of person I am and the sort of brands that I like to create, and start targeting and being specific about it. So you're not spending all day going absolutely everywhere and hoping against hope that one will say yes. So having a bit more of a strategy moving forward with that. Yeah. So that's Glenda. Stella, and this is who we're aiming for with the Stella Virtual Assistant course. She's a superstar. She's got a clear offering for a specific client, and the client that she's targeting loves everything about what she does. They've got the problem. They know they have the problem, and they want that problem fixed. And the way that she fixes it is the way that they want it fixed. And they've got the budget to pay her what she wants. So she's got a strategy, right? So her ideal client ticks all of those boxes plus more. She's got a clear onboarding process, so she's not recreating the wheel every time someone approaches her and says, hey, I need help. And then she's going, what does that mean? How am I going to create a solution for you? Because you're like coming at me with all these different things. And because I haven't been clear about how I can solve a specific problem, I'm solving everyone's problem. So it's kind of like having a restaurant where you're like, I will feed you what you want, right? Because I can cook. And people come in and they're like, well, I want some pad thai. And you're like, well, I don't have that kind of pasta crap, like I need to have that rice or whatever it might be. And I don't have all of the things because I can't cater for all of the people. I need to narrow these things down so that I've got the tools there and the resources there to solve those problems. Okay, so she's mapped out and implemented the steps to run her business. She knows where clients are going to find her. She knows what that client journey is. So what they see first, where they go next, what information they receive, what they're thinking, what their pain points are, what their blocks are, and how to guide them through that process. And then when she's supporting them, she communicates in a particular way using particular programs. And then she might be doing project work. She might be doing ongoing work. And those processes are different, obviously, depending on how that's set up. But you'll have, onboarding and offboarding for whoever comes your way. But you want, wherever possible, for that to be consistent. So who would like to feel like Stella? That would be nice. Stella's got it. She's got it going on. And you can get there. It's not actually a pipe dream. I haven't said on there, Stella earns $1 million a week, you know, and all that sort of stuff that people often will try and pitch to you. Stella just is really clear on what she's offering. She's set up her foundations. She's got her ideal client. She's made it easier for herself. And then she can work out exactly where, you know, what she can then scale if she wants to grow her business bigger, or if she wants to do one-to-many instead of one-on-one sort of support, or if she wants to have residual income. Once she's got that sort of thing in place, she can start playing with all the things that, you know, can make her business grow. So I haven't introduced myself. I love doing this halfway through. Why not? So I'm Rosie and I run Virtually Yours, which is a virtual assistant network for Aussie VAs. I've been running it for 18 years now and I love it. I'm really passionate about advocating about VAs to business owners. So last weekend, for example, I was at CopyCon in Sydney and I was talking about outsourcing, and I'm all about helping business owners work out the steps they need to take to build their team with the right people, but also with an attitude of mutual respect and admiration, so that both sides of the party are bringing everything to the table that actually just helps you move forward and gets through, you know, gets to the goals that you want, without there being this whole hierarchy rubbish and people feeling like, you know, oh, I'm going to start penny pinching, or I'm going to, you know, not tell you all of my project stuff because you might copy it, and having all this fear around outsourcing. I'm all about communicating with people about building a team with, you know, that whole trust, know, like, and trust, but also massively big on the mutual respect side of things. But I've also seen a huge number of new VAs come through over the years. Some make it, some don't. I've got some VAs who I now go to for advice who did my training years ago. And so now I just go, you're amazing, right? So they've come through, they've got these unique skills. They're amazing. I don't have skills across, I'm not a master of all. So they come in, but what they want to do is set their business up in a certain way that I can help with. And then they take those skills and turn it into something awesome. And that's when I come back and I go, can I tap into that, please? Because you guys are amazing. And I love that. That's my favorite. But I do see, and this is why I do the advocacy stuff and the speaking gigs, and I've got a book around outsourcing, because I see that women, and as I was talking about early on, about how women come into the industry sometimes where they're struggling with balancing, you know, health commitments, family commitments, or they've come from a workplace that was toxic, and they're now struggling to be seen as someone who's providing a professional service. So they're lacking that confidence, but also without that advocacy, there's a good chance that business owners are going to treat them like, you know, they're lower class for some reason because they're assisting them in their business. And if you're not really clear on what your offering is and you're not strong on your pricing, you're probably going to validate that, and it's going to be this cycle that continues. So as the industry grew, the pressure on people grew, the confusion grew, because there's all these different offerings now, there's different software programs now, and we need to get clarity around that, because you can just get stuck right down that rabbit hole trying to figure out what you're going to do. I'm a VA, but what does that mean? It's kind of like saying I'm a tradie, and until you work out that you're going to be a plumber or electrician or a carpenter or whatever it might be, you don't know what steps to take to move forward, right? The virtual assistant industry is the same. You need to work out exactly what it is you're offering. And so that's why I offer the virtual assistant startup method, and I'm going to be going through these steps. So there's 5 steps here today, obviously not in the detail I do in the course, but I want to let you know how we work through the models so that you can actually go and do it if you've got the, you know, if you're equipped to do that. So, and why I work in this particular sequence, so that you can actually stop wasting time doing scaling before you've done foundations, for example. So I'll go through that with you today. So I saw VAs getting stuck in that initial stage, or sometimes jumping right in because clients just come up and go, hey, I heard you've got skills. I need a VA. You should set up a business and I'll be your client. And this does happen. And then they'll start working with people. And Olivia, you mentioned this before, and you go, I don't have any foundations set up. I actually don't know what boxes I'm meant to tick to make sure that this is legal, or that this person's going to pay me, or that I'm actually providing a quality service, or any of those things, because I've kind of just gone in by, you know, this flying by the seat of my pants, and that's exciting, but how long is that going to last for, right? We want to be making sure that things are repeatable and effective. So they go straight into implementation. They're not preparing and not using strategy to move forward in their business. So we want to clear that up. That's the whole purpose of this. So we want to ditch the Glenda, the gatherer, and make it show that you have a clear plan moving forward and you've got an idea of a particular target market. And I tell you now, if you come to me and you say my target market is women in business, I will virtually slap you, just so you know. Okay, so rhetorical question. Let's ditch the Glenda for Stella. Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Mistake number 1. Trying to offer all the services to all the people for fear of missing out. And I know you guys can resonate with this. We all start off this way, and there's going to be some period of adjustment where you do kind of test and measure and you go, okay, I could offer that, or I could offer this, and sort of see how it feels, see who's responding to it, putting things out there. It's a really confusing time. It can be an exciting time because it's a huge learning curve, but it's not where we want to stay in our business. That is not your end journey, right? That's the start. And that's just so that you can start to find your feet and see which things start to stick for you, and the things that light you up and make you feel like I'm loving what I'm doing for this particular client, or even sometimes understanding and recognizing I hate what I'm doing for this particular client, or I love what I'm doing, but this particular client sucks. And so identifying why, how, and when, so you can start tailoring things down and saying, this is my don't want list and this is my wish list, and I'm going to attract more of this and start tailoring my offer so that this is what I'm attracting more of. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we do is we think that when we're offering all the things, everyone's going to be like, okay, well, I have things, maybe you can help me, right? It's kind of like assuming that if you put a worm on a fishing line, that all of the fish are, going to say, oh, it's a worm, sweet. No. When you're fishing, you put a particular thing on the line for a particular fish. I'm vegans. It's a really weird analogy for me to use, but let's just go with it. And you don't want to be doing that with your marketing where you're, just throwing everything out there and hoping that it sticks, right? So what happens is nobody says, even though you want them to, nobody says that's me, because there's nothing you can say when you're offering all the things that's going to make someone feel like you're speaking to them. And you need to not be afraid to be speaking to only a handful of people. There's a bazillion people in the world. You don't need all of them as customers, right? You actually only need a few. Even if you're doing branding stuff and it is project-based and it's come and go. I mean, I have someone who did my branding. I've got to go back to them every now and then for new products that I create, or, all sorts of stuff. I've had to have book covers done. I've had to have slides done. I've had to have posters done, all sorts of things. And then I'll come back to them, or there's a new year and I need a new date put on something and I couldn't be bothered downloading InDesign again. And I'll go, hey, can you go fix this for me? So they come back again. Because your brand isn't just a set and go for a lot of people. But that might be part of how you tailor, right? How you narrow it down. You go, okay, well, I'm actually going to be looking for brands who are constantly evolving and growing, not their brand, but their deliverables. Those people that are offering different courses or speaking stuff or books or anything that's going to then need products. So they're going to need to keep coming back and getting things freshened up or added to their branding kit. So that might be where you start to narrow it down, instead of saying, I'm going to appeal to newbies who need a new brand, have had nothing. Their budget's going to be pretty low compared to those ones that are looking to build lots of different things. And not only is their budget going to be low and they're going to lowball you like some of the people have, they're not necessarily going to have that insight to or plan to come back and add to it. So you start thinking about, okay, so if I want to appeal to those people over here that have the different products that they're constantly adding to, or that they're updating and refreshing, where are they hanging out? That's where I need to get my messaging out to. That's the voice that I need to be, putting out there. The way I communicate with those people, the wording I use on my website, in my social media, or anything that I do that's seen or heard, is going to be different for those people than it is for someone who's a newbie, who's just needs to get any kind of brand out there, right? So we don't want to make our marketing ineffective or stressful. We want to make it so that it is targeted and clever. And you'll know that when you see clever branding, you go, yeah, no, that's cool. I get it. I've seen it. Man with a van branding, the Who Gives a Crap toilet paper, the Thank You brand. All of these brands they're not even exciting products, but the way that they've branded is going to really resonate with some people and really turn off other people. And that's what you want. You want your branding to be a filter, which Sari. Yeah. So when people have too many options, they get stuck, right? They want to know what the answer is. I don't want to have optional answers and different, choose your own adventure. This is my problem and I want you to solve it. So we don't want to confuse people with too many options. The worst thing you can see on a website when there's a service provider is their services page with a bazillion bullet points offering all the things. It doesn't give you any faith that they're going to be doing any of those at a very high level, unless they then show the team of all the specialists they have for each of those areas. Don't be afraid to be a sole trader and to be the face in your business. People want to connect with you. They want to know, like, and trust you, but they also are never going to believe that you can do all the things really, really well. Okay. So you might have a whole lot of things, and this is something that we would work through, that you have a whole lot of skills that you have. But sometimes you'll find when you start listing off all the skills you have and the things that you really enjoy doing, you can package them together to become a solution. So a solution to someone's problem. So it's not like you're going to throw away all the things that you can do that are amazing. What you need to do is actually just see how they work together to solve a problem and then communicate that problem. Okay. All right. So basically just said that what we do is we look at all of the skills that make a signpost, right? Instead of all the different things that were in that. So we've got the picture here. You can have a bin full of different posts and they've all got all the skills. When you actually put them together and you give people some direction, and that actually gives them that clarity and the confidence. I remember years ago, I was at an event and one of the speakers was talking, she's a mindset coach, and she was telling us about what the layout of the day was going to be, and including when the morning tea was going to be, how we were going to break up the session between the breaks, when morning tea was going to be, when lunch was going to be, what we're going to be doing. And she said, the reason why I'm letting you know this is because when you go to any kind of training, whether it's online or face-to-face, and you're not sure what the structure of the day is, even though you know what the outcome should be, you have a certain level of uncertainty. So I was like, I don't know what's happening next. I don't know when I'm able to just, satisfy my own comfort needs, like going to the toilet or getting a glass of water. This uncertainty is super distracting and it stops us from functioning mentally. Like your brain can only do so much and it distracts you from making, good decisions. So what you want to do is remove that confusion and that uncertainty as much as possible. You don't have to do everything for everyone when you have a smart solution for your ideal client. Okay. Any questions around that? Does that make sense? Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, sorry, I had it muted because I've been writing notes and I want to hear it.
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine, especially when there's kids in the background. I highly encourage the mute button. Unfortunately, I can't do that, so I envy you.
My kids have actually been quiet. I'm starting to wonder when the fight's going to break out.
See, you've got uncertainty. Sure. If they would just tell you when the fight's going to break out, you wouldn't feel so uncertain, right?
It's so funny because my kids, the two girls, when they're quiet, that's usually a problem, right?
Yeah.
But for my son, when he's quiet, he's behaved. When he's laughing, something's going down. Yeah. He laughs when there's trouble.
Yeah.
So if I hear him laughing, I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta run.
Especially if it's that cheeky laugh and you just, something's going on. All right, mistake number 2 is creating your branding, your website, and your messaging before you get clear on your offering and your ideal client. So I remember years ago when, so we did website design as my VA specialty for about 10 years. So prior to that, I was mainly working with community services and allied health and not-for-profits. And then I decided, because you can change, this is the best thing about your business, is when you get bored with something or you just go, I don't want to do that anymore, you can change, you're not a tree. So I decided, you know what, I've gotten into this whole website shenanigan. I'm going to do a whole lot of website stuff and a little bit of branding with that. So when people came to me, I didn't stop them and say, are you clear on your ideal client and your messaging? I just said, you need to have a website up, right? Which was hard for people. And I'm like, now I'm just like, why did you do that? But of course, you're a web designer. You want to get their website up. But if you went to a copywriter for the website and you didn't know what your ideal client was and what your offering was, they would say, I can't help you, right? So you're going to have different things that you set up where you can set it up in a really sort of generalist, very, very generalist, and you'll feel like you're saying the same thing as everybody else, or that there's no new way to say what you want to say. And you're creating your website, you're creating your brand, you feel like I'm one of many here. It's because you're not clear on what your specific offering is and who you're trying to speak to. Because when you get clear on those, then creating your branding, creating the copy for your website, creating the plan for your website, it makes sense. It's easier, yeah? So what we do a lot of the times, we go, we're going to start a new business. So first thing I'm going to do is come up with a business name and some branding, and I'm going to create a website and I'm going to put it out there. And at no point have we looked at who we are as a person and how we're going to cope with running a business and what our strategies are, what our supports are. And neither have we looked at, okay, so these are all of the skills we have. What problem does that solve, and who has that problem? Whose problem can I solve, and how do they want to be communicated to, right? So if we go back and we work those things out first, so the marketing stuff ends up being in our course. It's like the fourth of the what do you call them? Chapters? I don't know. Module. That's the word I'm looking for. It's so we've already looked, and I'll talk to you through them in a minute. We've looked at so many aspects before we even start on this, because when you get to this, it will be easy instead of feeling painful and repetitive and beige. Yeah. Okay, so you don't know what you need to say because you don't know who you're speaking to, and you don't know what pain you ease, yet you're saying stuff. So that's how people start off their business. And they set everything up and they're trying to message and connect with people. And this is, you know, how I said at the start, you're going to be offering a few different things to start off with people, because you're trying to find your feet and you're going to see what sticks, what doesn't. But why not approach that with as much strategy as you can, like looking at, okay, these are all the skills I have. How can I bring them together to offer? You know, I'm going to try this particular package. I'm going to see if this problem is one for these people. So you're basically going to create a hypothesis and see if it works, yeah? Rather than that splatter approach of going, okay, these are all the things I can do. Who wants me, right? Sounds good, but it doesn't tend to work. Okay, so what will happen is you'll put all that stuff out there. You'll sound the same as everyone. Your About Us page will sound like Sally's About Us page. Your services will be this huge list of nothing very specific, and it certainly doesn't tell the client what problem you solve. It just says what your skills are. So that's actually really interesting, because when you do a resume, you list off your skills, right? When you do a business profile, you list off how you solve people's problems. You list off the benefit that you can bring to people and how you can ease their pain. You don't list off your skills, because they don't care what your skills are, unless, you know, communication skills are obviously important. But if you sit there listing off, you know, in a profile, I'm really good at Excel. Libby's great at Excel. I'm really good with InDesign. I'm really good with these programs. I'm really punctual. I've got good time management. And the client's going, yeah, but I've got this project that I need to run and that does this particular thing, and this is the area that I'm blocked on. I don't know what skills you need for that. I need you just to solve that problem. So you're making it so that they're trying to work out how your skills can actually be applied to their business, instead of just saying, this is the problem I can solve for you. Business owners, and you'll find this as you're running your business, have enough on their mind without trying to figure out that puzzle. of what it is that you can help them with. You need to make it as easy as possible. So when you're putting things out there saying, I can do all the things, these are all my skills, but it's not targeted to their particular problem, you won't hear back from people. You'll have people jump on your website and jump straight back off again because they won't see themselves in your content. And if you do have referrals from people, they'll be really painful ones, like the ones that your uncle's going to send your way, right? The ones where it's like, oh, Barry over here said that he's going to start off this huge enterprise and he's going to sell this new fandangled lawnmower. And I said that you could help him. And you just go, what? Like, what? Help him how? Like, what? Who's Barry, right? So those are the referrals. You're going to get Barry referrals. I'm warning you now, okay? So your messaging will say nothing useful. Nobody will sit there and go, that's me, okay? And you need people to say either that's me or that's so not me. You need that filter. You'll need to redo it all later on when you figure out what it is that you're offering. And you're going everything, I call everything a placeholder. When it comes to your branding, your messaging, everything's a placeholder. You will grow and you will evolve. But you don't want to spend all this money creating a whole presence online only to have to change the whole thing, especially early on when your budget is tight. And so you'll have to rebuild trust in your brand as well. So you don't want to be just starting out there just splattering. Splattering is my word for tonight, my splattering. So you can spend a lot of time and money, and this is what this whole session is about, trying to avoid doing that, spending a lot of time and money saying nothing to anyone. And that's where you just don't get those clients coming back to you. Okay? Does that make sense? Beautiful. Are you feeling scared?
I don't really know if it's more that I enjoy helping people. So that's why I have so many different skills I can offer.
Yep.
Where if I just don't know what the heck I enjoy, you know, because I love building websites, but for me, that doesn't really feel like that's where it's at. Like I was talking to somebody else today that said the majority of the people that are looking for people now are looking for people that are willing to make phone calls because people don't like doing that.
No, that's
and I'm like,
one group.
Okay, well, I don't care about making phone calls either. None of that bothers me, but it's like, I don't know how to figure out like where I actually belong.
In response to what that person said, that person, if they were shopping for a car, right, they would be telling you that, no, everybody just needs help with cars at the moment. Okay, so that person is seeing and hearing stuff to do with phone calls, right? Yes, I had someone approach me today saying, I need someone to help with phone calls. But do you know how often I get asked that? And I get asked for different gigs all the time. Not that often. There is a huge variety of services out there that people need help with. You know, you can't tell me they're not going to need phone calls if they don't have help with their bookkeeping, if they don't have social media strategy, if they don't have their websites, if they don't have some copywriting, if they don't have their onboarding system, their CRM set up properly. There's a bazillion different aspects to running a business. So
there was someone who contacted me that said that they had gotten a client that they didn't have time for, that maybe it could potentially start me out on a path to having clients, you know. So I wanted to find out like what it entailed. And basically this gentleman who owned this business wanted this woman to go through on a Word document and fix it so he could copy and paste in there when they're out on a job with the laptops, because they're engineers.
Yeah.
So they could copy and paste and it wouldn't change the font when they did it. And I said, but it depends. Like if you're copying the formatting over, it's going to copy the formatting over. And so I asked her, like, just out of curiosity, did you try to figure out if they're using like a tablet or how they're filling this out? Maybe they might benefit from a form that you can create that's an offline web page or something. And she was like, no, I didn't think of that. I don't know how to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm giving him your number. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's about solving problems, not about doing what the client asks you to do. There's elements of that, but often a client doesn't know what they need. And there's CRMs out there, so client relationship management software programs, which is all your client data and your forms and your, you know, all the information about your clients. And a lot of tradies are using different stuff. So ServiceMate is one, and there's a whole bunch of other ones, a lot of different CRMs for different specialties. And it will say on there, like they'll be created in such a way that it caters for quotes for jobs, for, you know, coming supply requests, for all of the different things that are going to be needed for a particular industry. So there's different CRMs for different industries. And so it's like, you know, okay, so this guy, that's where you have this awesome conversation with him, and you're like, okay, so you're not going to actually move forward in any way in your business with this whole copy paste idea. Can you tell me exactly what you're trying to achieve from that? It may be as simple as creating an editable PDF, right?
Yeah.
All the way through to maybe he wants to grow his business, and maybe a CRM is the way to go. So there's really, you know, a lot of the time the client will say to you, this is where, you know, saying, oh, I'm good with Word. What does that mean? You need to be able to solve problems, right? And come up with, have a
This guy is so eager to fix this because it's a big issue for him.
Yeah.
And for his employees, that he was willing to jump on a Zoom call with me like that night.
Yeah.
At like 10 o'clock at night to fix the issue.
Yeah.
So he needed to fix. So I'm in the works of that now, but I just, you know, it was just so funny. She was like, I don't know how to do it. I don't care to do it.
Which is great, because all of the different VAs that you're going to meet are going to say that about things, and that's great, because she's saying, I don't need that space. I don't need that to take up space in my brain. My jam's over here. So whenever something comes through to me that's not part of my jam, I'm going to find someone else for them. And that is a fabulous approach.
How do you necessarily figure out what it's called? Like, you know what services you can offer, but if I was to list all those skills out, I would look like a jack of all trades, master of none.
That's one of my special powers, is finding the pattern when you come through with all of these different skills, and then we chat about what lights you up and what doesn't, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you're interested in learning, what you're not, and then go, okay, well, all right, this is what I see there. This is who potentially could have that problem. And then we look at, okay, what's your face doing when I suggest that type of person, right? And we go through that and look at ways, because not everyone can see that. And a lot of the time people can't see it for themselves. It's kind of like people don't do their own branding. A lot of people, because you just can't do your own stuff. So having someone there who can look at all of the skills that you have and the things that float your boat, and saying, okay, well, those things actually could come together very well in this particular way. And
that very much resonates with me and makes sense. Like, just to share a little tidbit, I have a bachelor's in psychology, almost a master's.
Yeah.
My daughter's on the spectrum. I have absolutely no idea why she's doing what she's doing. And I can't help her because I'm emotionally invested. So that makes sense, because I've tried to brand myself so many times, and it's never sufficient for me, and I'll just keep redoing and redoing and redoing and redoing, and then eventually someone will come along and go, let me take that over because it looked fine the first time, so you need help. So that very much resonates.
Yeah. Love it. All right, mistake number 3. This is a really big one, and when I got through this one, it made a massive difference to my business, and that's working towards someone else's definition of success. So what you need to get clear on is what your definition of success is. And there can be a few different ways of approaching that. Okay, so some people will try to avoid doing all the things that will make them too successful. And I hear this all the time. They're like, well, I don't really want to be too successful, right? And you're like, what does that mean? What is your definition of success? Or are you pulling from, you know, Sally over there who has this speaking gig every other week in a different country, her definition of success? Because to me, that sounds like torture. And to her, that sounds like the life, the dream, right? Whereas my definition of success is a certain revenue, a whole big pile of flexibility, working with a particular type of people, solving a particular type of problem, feeling challenged, but in a good way, feeling empowered, feeling inspired. So there's a whole bunch of different things that are ingredients in what my definition of success is, right? Sometimes it's just making a hairdressing appointment and not having to tell anybody, guess what, Thursday, I'm not available because I'm going to the hairdressers, because nobody actually cares what I'm doing on Thursday. That's a great thing for me, right? Because I get my work done when I get it done. And I've got meetings and stuff. I have plenty of commitments, but I fit them in around my hairdressing appointment, right? So that's a definition of success to me. But the other thing too is thinking about what your big why is. And I was really happy on the weekend when I was at a conference that somebody else said this, because I'm a big believer that saying, being there for my kids is my big why. And that is definitely a benefit in your business, but it's not going to help you make decisions in your business when it comes to moving forward in it. It will help you make decisions in terms of your boundaries and your commitment to your business. But I want you to think about, if I did my business for however many years I think I'm going to do it, what impact, what would I want to have done before I retire or I sell this? And it may be that you create something that you can sell. That might be your big why. Another big why might be, I want to change a particular thing about an industry, or I want to change a particular thing about, for a particular type of person. I want to have an impact in this particular way, right? So that way, moving forward. So for me over the years, it's always been about, what can I do to increase the quality, the perception that business owners have of the virtual assistant industry, right? So that's why I do the training that I do. That's why I do the podcasts I do. That's why I do the advocacy I do. Everything I do needs to work towards improving that reputation of our industry here in Australia. I don't care about other countries. I only care about the Australian business culture. If I cared about other countries, the way I approach it would be completely different. So that's why I'm really clear on what my big goal is. And so I can go, okay, well, if I'm going to take on that project over there, is that going to be just a shiny thing? Shiny, because I do like my shiny objects. Is that going to be a distracting shiny object, or is that going to help me move towards my big goal? Is that going to tick me that little bit closer towards it? And that helps me make decisions in my business, helps me be way more proactive and feel more accomplished as I'm moving forward in my business. So I think it's really good to have a clear idea on what your definition of success is, so that you're not scared of it. Because if you're scared, like if you're actually you're self-sabotaging, you are not working towards the right definition of success. Okay, so you should be excited about it. You might be a little bit like, jelly belly about it, but you should actually really, really want it and be willing to write it down on your goals and own it and feel like this is where I want to go. Even if you feel like, I can't do that, I'm not good enough for that, that's okay. We work through that. But if you look at that and go, oh, that sounds like it's not going to be as fun as it sounds, right? Or it just doesn't sit right. There's something about it doesn't sit right, and it's not really you. Then you need to rethink about what those your definition of success is. So for a long time, I was thinking that success meant a certain thing, and it was what other people were putting down as success. It's certain, you've got to be earning this much, you've got to be traveling this much, you've got to be doing this many speaking gigs, and that's how you know that you're successful. And so I was self-sabotaging, because I was like, I don't think I can handle that. I've got 2 kids. I like to sleep and I like to relax. So these things just don't align with me. So maybe I won't do all the things I need to get there, but then I'm not doing the things that I would be then doing to get to my definition of success, because I don't know what that is, right? All I'm doing is avoiding this one because it's not mine. So yeah, you can avoid that all you like, as long as you know what you're actually aiming for. So thinking about whose dream is it? I just love this photo. I just think it's so beautiful. Isn't it cute? All right. So when you think of success and you think of reaching for success, how do you feel about it? Do you feel confident? Do you feel like maybe a bit of imposter syndrome? Or do you feel like that's actually not a space where I don't think I want to be successful?
I've been there before.
Mm.
Especially like, I think the person that I look to the most when it comes to business is my father-in-law, because he is wildly successful.
Yeah.
He's a multimillionaire, and he started out collecting cans when he was a kid. He just has this entrepreneur mindset, and he's constantly working on several businesses, several houses. I'm never going to be there. Okay. And I don't want to be there, If you met him, you would think he's a bum. He doesn't dress like he's a millionaire. His car doesn't look like he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
But I've always went to him for advice, and I sat down with him last weekend and I said, "Okay, Dominic, what is it that will help me start? How do I know what I want to do. I know where I want to be. I just want to earn 2 to 400 a week. Not a big deal. I
Mhm.
don't need to, it doesn't need to be crazy. I need the flexibility to pick up my daughter if the school calls, which happens a lot.
Yep.
Um, but how do I get it started?" And he said, "Well, where would you look if you wanted you?" And I
Yeah.
said, "I would look on Google." That's what I would do. And he said, "Okay, create a presence there.
Mm.
You can't be found if you don't show up." And I started talking to him. I said, "Well, yeah, but then that means a website." And not that I love building websites. It's a passion of mine. I love doing it. I said, "But it's a lot of work if it doesn't work out, if it's not successful." And he just looked at me and said, "You know, all I'm hearing right now is excuses."
Yeah. Yeah, you can have results or excuses, but you can't have both. And I'm okay with people coming up with excuses so long as they don't expect results. Yeah. It's so true. You're probably having a little coughing fit there, and yeah, just I'm sorry. You poor thing.
Too bad. Yeah, I don't know. But that's what he said to me. And
He's correct. He's right.
that really stuck with me. So I said, okay, my businesses went through several names. I've ran businesses in the past at a jewelry company in America. Um, but I had a partner and they did stuff I didn't know how to do. And they did a lot of things that I didn't understand how to do.
Yeah.
um, so it's really like that getting started and getting off the ground. So,
Yeah.
um,
You don't have to
I
do it
told,
alone.
so I told my husband before tonight ends, um, I'm not going to build a website in one night, but I want a domain registered tonight. Like,
Yeah, there you go. One step at a time. Correct. One step at a time. And remember, I know that because you're starting off small business, people think they've got to do all the things. You don't. You can tap into people around you. You might even start off with some barter stuff where you can design something for someone and they design something for you, or they do the bits that you aren't sure on. That's why building your community is one of the first things that you can do, is get out there and connect with your peers, which is going to help you find people who will fill the gaps, because you got to practice what you preach. You're going to tell business owners that you're there to fill their gaps. And if you don't know how to do that for yourself, you're not willing to do that for yourself, you're never going to understand how they feel and the true gift that they give you when they let you in. I call it to see your business undies, right? So to let people in to see your business undies, the reality of your business is, you need to know, like, and trust people, right? To do that. And so I find that business owners who refuse to bring anyone in to help them outsource in some capacity don't understand. They're kind of hypocritical, because they're like, oh, just give me the work, right? I don't know, I don't see what your problem. I've had people say before, this client needs help and they just won't hand it over, and I don't see what the problem is. And it's like, well, the problem is that you want them to show you their business undies, and they're not quite ready for that yet. So what's happening for them? And do you understand, and are you empathetic about where they're at? Have you helped build that know, like, and trust factor? Have you ease this strain around, like, that confusion, that uncertainty? Because you can't just go in there and marry someone on the first date. You've got to get in there and you've got to learn, build that trust, because it's their business baby, right? They're not going to just let anybody in. All right. Even if someone comes to you originally and says, I want to use your services, it feels like that. They've seen your stuff already, or they've heard about you already. There's already been some of that trust and that knowledge built up. So yeah, it's important to remember that you're not on your own, and that any time that you outsource, you're learning how it feels for your clients to bring you in for their business. Yeah. So when you're looking for the wrong definition of success, we're reaching for it, we're going to procrastinate, we're going to avoid, we're going to be feeling super stressed about it, and we will definitely self-sabotage, and we'll have a healthy dose of imposter syndrome as well, which is always fun. You're probably going to have that anyway, but we'll add that to the list. So we won't have clarity either around where we want to go, what our decisions are that we want to make, because it's not clear and it's not that nice, bright, shining light. It's this kind of sort of car crash that we're trying to aim for. And we're going to, as I said, the comparisonitis or imposter syndrome, and we're going to be feeling like this, I can't do this. This isn't right for me, because at the end of the day, it actually isn't in that form. Maybe doing exactly the same kind of activities, but with the wrong outcome in mind. So if you're looking for the right definition, or you're reaching for the right definition of support of success, I don't speak English tonight, you're going to be excited about it. You're going to have ideas around it. You're going to know which ones to flick off to the side and which ones to run with. So you'll be more likely to take action. And yes, as I said there, you'll probably feel a little bit nauseous sometimes, but that's okay, because it'll be that excited nauseous. I do stuff in my business all the time that pushes me outside my comfort zone, but I can clearly identify whether it's for my own good or not, like if it's working towards that definition of success. So that feeling there, you're just like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this. This is so hard. That's okay, so long as you know this is actually taking me where I need to go. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So you can create your own definition of success, which is cool, because you can say, okay, well, my definition of success is having a domain name, and then tomorrow you'll be successful. Hey, I implore you to strive a little bit harder, bit higher. Okay, so there's a lot of rabbit holes that you can get stuck in setting yourself up in your business. As we touched on earlier, the 100 billion software programs that are out there, as Libby said earlier, the agreement documents that aren't Australian based that you can end up purchasing, the templates that aren't based on what you want to be offering. There's advice and coaching and support from all over the world. But to be honest, the way that business is in Australia is very unique. It's definitely different to how businesses run in other countries. And you might decide that you want to work with people who are in a particular country that's not Australia, in which case you would want to get a really good grasp on their business culture, right? Me, as I said earlier, I work with people, business owners and virtual assistants who are also business owners, clearly, in Australia. So I've got a really, really strong grasp on business culture here in Australia, how people run their businesses, what they expect, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, how they communicate, how they connect, and just, working all of that out is a whole project in itself. And as I said, I've had 18 years to learn what I've learned. So you can't expect to know all the things straight up. Right? But what I would like to do is support you without you getting stuck down too many rabbit holes. That's the idea of this. Okay, I love these corny slides. I can't even say them out loud. All right, so the startup method, I want to tell you about it. So the first thing that we look at when we're working, setting up ourselves as a virtual assistant, and as I said, you can go and do these things, or you can come on board with us and we'll help you do these things. So the first thing is looking at you, who you are, how you're going to respond to good things and bad things that are going to happen in your business. There are going to be people who, as we were touching on before we started recording, who might come and ask you for heaps and heaps of advice on how to do something. And you might be thinking, okay, I've got to prove to them that I know what I'm talking about. And then they go off and they do it somewhere else. I've heard of clients who have said to virtual assistants, how on earth, how could you help me achieve this, this, and this? And can you put a proposal together outlining that? And then they put the proposal together outlining it, and they're very specific. You just need to talk about outcomes. You don't talk about processes. You don't tell people how you're going to do things. You tell people, the benefit of what you're going to do, because then they take that and they do send it offshore cheaper and go, these are your instructions, go and do that. So you're going to definitely have some people who are going to test you and who are going to be what I like to refer as dickheads. And that's okay. They're going to help you grow. Yay, thank you, dickheads. So you need to think about how you're going to react to that. Some people are not going to want to pay you. They'll act all really lovely and beautiful at the start. And then at the end, they'll go, yeah, no, I don't like that bit where I have to pay. And you can feel really, it can hit your confidence hugely. You can be like, okay, I suck at this. I can't run a business. I don't know how this works. They don't think I'm worth paying. Or people who try to negotiate on your price straight up. People who insult the way that you work. There are people out there who are not your ideal client. And everyone I just mentioned then is those people. But you need to know within yourself, how am I going to get through the lows, because I know the highs are going to be cool. They're going to be fun and I'm going to enjoy those. But there are going to be lows because people will come to test you. The universe likes to test you every now and then and see whether you are serious about serious about your definition of success. And so thinking about, okay, so this is my personality type. This is how I best function. These are the people that I best work with. And I know, so for example, tomorrow, actually, I'm heading off to an info session about a diploma in mental health, right? I'm interested in doing that. I know that if I do this course and I do work in that area, I will need someone to be my counselor, my psych, my whoever you want to call them, because I will take things to heart. I know I'm that personality type. I will absorb all of their anguish and I will need to have a strategy there to make sure that I can let things go. So having a really good understanding of how you react to things and how you're going to deal with stuff that comes your way is the first step, okay? And also when you're doing that, thinking about, okay, I'm understanding this about myself and I'm understanding these are different types of personalities, the different types of communication styles. I'm going to be working with lots of other people. So how am I going to best support people who have different personality types to me? Or even how am I going to support people who have the same sort of personality type as me? So remembering what I said right at the start, we're all just people and we're all trying to juggle all the things. And we've all got baggage and personality types, and we've got things about us that are really awesome and things about us that are really annoying. And we've got to work that kind of nice big soup and make it so that it works as best as possible. So understanding ourselves and taking, consideration of the different people you're going to be encountering along the way is step number one. Yeah. Okay, so when we're looking at ourselves, we're thinking about all of the different traits that we bring to the table first. So, what are when we do our course, we do a personality test. There's 2 personality tests. They're completely different to each other, but they're both super insightful. And thinking about what that says about what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Okay, so looking at what do I bring to the table that is awesome, what do I bring to the table that may be a gap, it might be a little bit of a hindrance, how am I going to fill that gap, which is what your clients want to do. You want your clients to be clear on how they're going to fill gaps and having that self-awareness as well. The best people have that self-awareness. And also thinking about your mental health moving forward. How are you going to support yourself? Are you someone who journals? Are you someone who does tapping, meditation? Are you go out for walks? Are you a creative? How are you going to bring strategies to the table to help you maintain good quality mental health? Yeah. So that you have a nice shiny hat. All right, I'm going to introduce you to a few different people who have done the Stellar course and just to let you know where they started and where they're at now. So first one is Lee. So she was at a point where she just had all of the information as well. She was just ready to just go headlong into the business and not think too hard about the things that I've spoken about already about, who she could be supporting specifically, what skills she has and how they could be packaged into a solution, what sort of foundations need to be put in place. And so she came along and she has had to just totally just stop for a second and go, okay, all right, deep breath. This is what I need to do, the sequence that I need to do. And I don't have, we call it the VA startup method, but I don't have a step-by-step, you fill this out and you create this, and you fill this out and you create this, because I don't think that there is any one format for everyone. What we do, so there's no blanket rule of road to success. What we look at is the different aspects that you need to consider, and then we guide you in how you can then consider those and how you can respond to the solution that comes up for you. Okay, does that make sense? So it's not a cookie cutter business startup solution. It's more about enabling you to learn about starting up a business, learning about yourself, learning about how you can be supporting people, and then potentially growing that business if you want to down the track. So yeah, so she came along and she was able to then sort of slow down a little bit, which to me that sounds awful, slowing down, but it can be really good to have. And you as a virtual assistant, you may end up finding that you do this a lot for clients, where you're able to say to them, all right, let's just stop for a second and have a look at where we want to go with this. And then if this is the outcome we're looking for, and in her case it was starting her VA business, what are the steps that we need to take to get us there? So we need to put our big girl pants on and actually kind of, have a little bit of a strategy moving forward. Sounds boring to someone like me who's like got shiny object syndrome, but it's actually, I do like a good plan as well. So it definitely helps. Okay, so our second module, we then look at your offerings. So we look at you first. We don't look at even the skills and stuff that you have. We just look at you as a human being. And then we start drawing out, okay, what are the skills that you have? You can do a big brain dump of all the different skills you have. You can ask people around you, what do you think I'm really good at? You can even, if you're brave, what do you think my faults are? If you want, like, what if I'm running a business, what do you think might trip me up? Only ask people whose opinion you actually give a stuff about, because you're going to completely ignore everybody else. Okay, and start thinking about, and this is where I can help, or you can just sit down and look at the big list that you've created of skills and start looking for patterns and things that can be kind of that show that there's a particular area of service that you may be drawn to. And also looking at, okay, so if I've got all of these things, there's 5 things here and they go together really, really well. But without this 6th thing that I don't have as a skill, it's not really going to be an offering. Do I want to learn that 6th thing or do I not? So making decisions around how they could look, what you're willing to do to add to your skill set. And also when looking at that, you might look at it and go, yeah, no, I'm happy to learn that thing, but do I want to be offering that thing to all the people? And is that still going to, on a really bad day, is that going to get me out of bed? Is that something that's going to keep my brain alive and keep me challenged and creative? So we have a little test thing that we do, which we look at assessing how certain skills, and it is at that point, skills, things that you do, how they make you feel, so that you can kind of rank them based on whether they're the sort of thing that would be good for you to keep, in your business and to keep you motivated, basically. Okay, so when we're looking at, as I touched on earlier, I'll say this a lot, we touch on things and then we come back to them. When we're looking at what your skills are, telling everybody about your skills is all very nice, but most people don't care. Okay, they just want to know how you can solve their problem. Okay, if if somebody is sitting there and they're like, okay, I'm just not converting clients, I've got people coming in, I've got an opt-in, it's working really well, and for some reason everybody's unsubscribing after an email or 2 and I don't know why, that person's pain point is completely different to someone else who just says, my accountant is harassing me because I haven't done my bookkeeping data entry. Okay, so everyone has a different pain point. You need to think about where you would fit in and what the sort of things people would be saying or thinking and feeling, who would then look at you and go, oh, I need you, right? Okay. So you look at your skills and you bundle them together to create a solution. Rather than offering, you think that you're offering all the things, make them make sense. Okay, so I'm not talking, when I say package, then I'm talking about offering a package to your clients. It's a whole nother thing, that's with scaling. What I'm talking about is making it so that it makes sense. What you can do, the cool things that you can do, create something specific. Okay, I want to introduce you to Michelle. She's so lovely. So she actually was tapping into the Stellar course on and off for a long time, which is my favorite kind of student, because I think that so even with this session tonight, there's certain information that you're going to take on board and there's certain things that you won't, because there's layers of information. Any training that you do, you would hope that you'll hear some things that you're ready for, and then next time you listen to them as you've moved forward in your business, you'll hear other things will resonate for you, and our training portal hopefully will do that for you. So there's a lot of things in there when you first go in, you'll be like, I'm not ready for that. And that's okay. When you are ready, you come back in and you tap into it. So one of the things Michelle did really well was actually just going through that whole sequence of looking at things in the order that we'd set them up. And the thing that really stood out for me, as I said just then, is that what she would do is she would go and she would work on things and she would put stuff out there and try it out, see what's going on. And then she would come back in and she'd be like, okay, I'm ready to learn some more. Let's get in there. Let's see what else I can do to add another layer of skill to my business, or a layer of foundation, or whatever it might be. And she started off doing general stuff and was able to get some clarity around who she could target and whose pain point she could then ease, which was really awesome. So the third module is the foundations. So there's no point in creating all these foundations. So even getting the domain names, getting the agreement documents, working out which CRM you're going to use, which bookkeeping software you're going to use, if you don't know that you have an offer. So that's why we do the offer first. And that if you don't know that you're mentally able to handle being a business owner, and that will be tested, trust me, over the years, it will be tested again and again. But you'll have a good idea at the start, okay, this is how I'm going to approach it, and I'm going to give it a red hot crack. Some people will look at the stuff at the start and then just go, you know what, I'm going to be an employee forever. Running a business is just not for me. I don't want to know all the things that I need to know about how I work and about how other people work and interacting with different people, and knowing that that's going to be changing. I like the consistency of a job where I sit there and I do my job and I have this boss and I have this co-worker, right? That's really important to some people. So they won't even get past module 1 before they go, this is not for me. Other people work through the services, the skills to services section, and they'll be like, I don't want to work on this stuff. I don't want to. Working out how I can solve someone's problem isn't exciting for me. And it kind of needs to be. If you're running a business, you need to be excited about what problem you can solve for people and figuring out what that will be. And it's okay if you test and measure it and you go, this is what I'm going to solve. This is the problem. And it doesn't work. That's okay. Back to the drawing board, try something else. So you need to be that sort of person, because sometimes you'll put things out there that just don't fly. And sometimes you'll get absolutely reaping the rewards. So you need to be willing to have that kind of aspect. So once you know those, then we move on foundations, because then you know that it's worth setting up that domain name, paying for that agreement template, investing in that CRM if that's what you're going to use, and putting yourself out there. Okay, so already you're feeling like, okay, I can start putting myself out there because I know what problem I solve. Yeah. So it's already feeling a bit clearer, which is nice. So this is where we look at making sure that you're clear on your boundaries. And now that you know kind of how you work and how you're going to structure your business, you'll be able to get clearer on boundaries. Those boundaries, can I just warn you, at the start will be tested again and again. At the start, often you might have 1 or 2 really awesome clients, but you will have clients, and sorry, you've already had some, who will be like a little toddler seeing how far they can take it. Yeah. And if you go, okay, that's all right, I'm happy to have an 8 p.m. call, or yeah, no, that's all right, I'll talk to you for an hour about how I do things, they'll push it and they'll push it until you say no, and then they'll walk away, right? Those are the little toddler clients that you will face. And what they will do is they'll teach you what your boundaries are, and they will validate that your boundaries are needed and that they are good and they are awesome, and that you need to know what they are and to stick by them, because if you don't, you let them down, oh my God, they swarm right in. So thinking about your software programs, as I said at the start, people do fear that they are going to need to know all of the software programs that are out there. Now, I have Googled it in the past, how many software programs there are out there. I can't remember what the answer was, but it was mind-bogglingly huge. In my business day-to-day basis, and I'm pretty techie, I probably use about 10 different software programs. As I said, my business has been going for a while, so I've set up a lot of things. I've got a lot of bit of pieces here, there. But most people would only be using a handful of software programs. And if you know what problem you solve and who you solve it for, you'll know what programs that you need to learn. So if you said, for example, sorry, I really like working with that guy who needed to have the Word document basically completely changed into a CRM, and tailored to the tradies. There's a few VAs out there who specialize in supporting tradies. They're going to get their head around CRMs like ServiceMate. They're going to be looking at different programs that support. So they might look at making sure that their client is on, those platforms where you can go in and go, I need someone to do my roof. And then the quotes come through. It's like High Pages, I think it's called. So there'll be set stuff. The ServiceMate may have a bookkeeping element to it that you can always go, yeah, well, it works with Xero or it's already incorporated. And so you'll start to see how the structure works for your ideal client and what programs are more often going to be used. You might also find that you end up specializing in a certain software program. So, I had someone today who was looking for a VA who is really great at Kajabi. So Kajabi, and it's only been around for a few years. So, a few years ago, this wasn't an offering. Tomorrow, there'll be new programs that you've never heard of. Don't worry, it's okay. So Kajabi, I think, is more about, it's like an online course program / CRM. So it's quite expensive, and people who are using it want to make sure that they're getting as much bang for their buck as they can. So they'll want someone who really gets Kajabi and how they can utilize the whole sequence for their client journey, making sure they get the sales, they get that communication out, that sort of thing. So you might end up specializing in particular software programs. Or if you specialize in an industry and a particular problem within industry, you'll get a good idea of which programs you need to solve that problem. And trust me, it won't be that many. So once you have a look at what your offer is, your fear around how many software programs you'll need to learn will lessen. Things like insurance as well. We've got some information in the portal around insurance. There's programs like Insurance Made Easy and BizCover. Both of them have VA specific insurances, but again, depends on what sort of offer you have. Because the virtual assistant industry is now so huge, when they're talking about VA specific, they're often thinking more around that administrative type. That's where their head's at. Whereas if you're going to be specializing in graphic design, you would just say to them, I'm a graphic designer, right? Or if you're going to be specializing in copywriting, I'm a copywriter. It's easier for them to then work out what sort of liability you would have. And that's all you want with your insurance, is to make sure that your liability is calculated properly. And again, insurance is up to you, whether it's not a legal requirement. It is up to you whether you get it or not. Depends if you can afford it or not. But obviously, if you haven't got it, there's a gamble there. I think one of the things that I found really interesting a few years ago, listening to someone who was talking about insurance, and I can't believe I said that sentence, something was interesting, was that when someone sues you, even if they are just one of those horrible clients and something went wrong and it wasn't even your fault, and they decide that it was your fault and they take you to court, you're obviously going to have expenses to get you to court, right? Even if you're innocent, and your insurance will play a part in that, in covering those expenses. So you don't need to, if you're thinking, well, I'm not going to do anything wrong, I have perfect systems in place, all of the things, I'm going to have limited liability, blah, 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 blah. If someone does decide to try and take you down, you want to have some backing there to make it so that you can afford that process. So I thought that was really interesting food for thought. You also want to be considering how you're going to be facilitating your payments, whether it's by bank transfer or a program like Stripe. I'm not a big fan of PayPal. I think PayPal like to hold your money hostage every now and then and ask you to reprove who you are. And while they're doing that, they restrict any money coming in and out of your account. And it can be a huge, huge pain in the butt for your business. So I moved away from PayPal for my business because of that. It happened multiple times over a couple of years. And I had to repeat like legal documents that I had to then find and send through and have for approval just so they would release my own money to me. Stripe doesn't do that, and the fees on Stripe are lower. So I recommend them if you're wanting to use something that allows credit card payments. So yeah, that's when you start thinking about all your foundations. A lot of fun. All right, Jatixa, she shared today that we're doing this training because she's so awesome. Honestly, she's one of my, you know how I spoke about at the start, how there's some people who come through and they do my training and then I go to them and I get them to help me with stuff. Jatixa is one of those people. And she came through and she said at the start, I'm really good with Excel, right? And I was like, well, who cares, right? And I was like, nicely saying, nobody knows what that means. What does that mean for them? That you're really, and turns out she is a queen in Excel. The stuff she can make it do, I didn't even know you could do. But turns out she's amazing at using setups in Excel to help people forecast their budgets and their incomes and all that sort of stuff. She does full financial analysis, got a background in financials, and she simplifies it, makes it easy for business to understand by using Excel, right? And so once she unraveled that and worked out that, she was able to then go, this is my jam, and tell people this is how I can help you. I can simplify, I can help you forecast. And we're just going to be using Excel, and it's going to be something that you can then run with, and you can keep putting your numbers in, and I'll show you how it all works. And she can run training. She's got templates, and suddenly it was much easier for her to approach clients about it. She does do other stuff as well. So as I said, you don't have to cut everything else out, but that was her specialty. And it was really cool because I laughed at the start when she was just like, the way she lit up when she said, I like Excel. I love Excel. I was like, oh, you really like it. I can tell that you really like it. But what does that mean? Turned out it meant something pretty awesome. Okay, so module number 4. Remember, we said we don't even look at marketing until module number 4. So by now, you know how you work, what your skills and services are, what you're going to offer and to who. And again, it might be trial and error. And you've got your foundation set up. So then you can get out there and you can market. And there's layers of all this training. You can do the high-end stuff to get yourself started, and then you come back in and you do more in each of those areas and you make it more comprehensive. And you know, once you come back in, you really start narrowing down what those services might be. So you do the high end and you go, I'm going to try this out. This is going to be my offering. I'm going to put these foundations in place, and we're going to market that. We're going to see how that goes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to rejig, and we're going to, you know, really narrow down what those skills and services are. We're going to modify our foundations to accommodate that, and we're going to market it. And so you can kind of keep going around and round, right? Does that make sense? So you can just layer upon layer. You don't have to master each of the modules to move forward. You need to do what you're ready to do, and then you move forward, but you come back later on and you keep doing that same sequence. Okay, so by then with your marketing, you want to be getting clear on what your client journey is. So your client journey is when understanding where clients are first going to hear about you. So those first touch points, it might be word of mouth. It might be certain social media platforms that you decide to use. It might be Google. It might be all sorts of things. So thinking about where would be that initial point where they would hear from me? Maybe I'm going to sponsor something. They're going to see a sign somewhere. So what will happen after each of those points? Where am I going to direct them? What action am I going to ask them to take? Am I going to direct them all to an opt-in? And so an opt-in is basically when someone signs up to your email sequence, if you have one, and you give them something in return. So it might be a checklist. It might be an ebook. It might be a mini course. It could be anything. What I recommend people do with an opt-in is make sure that it just fills the gap of where your client is first hearing about you. What's the information that they need to then know, like, and trust you? Use that as a little bit of a tool to help move them forward in that journey. Yeah. Thinking about your brand voice. So Sari's all over this. So thinking about how you want your business to look, sound, and feel. And you need to then incorporate that into various forms of networking, understanding how you're going to pitch. So never using a resume. You are not an employee. You would send a business profile, and a business profile is set up similarly, but it's more of a brochure about how you can support them. So thinking about if I got a brochure from a law firm or a bookkeeping firm or someone like that, what's it going to say in there that will tell me about what problems they can solve, who they are, how they work? Not, that they went to high school and that they went, all the random things that we put in a resume. So it's a different format, and it's important right from the start to be clear in what sort of relationship it is. So if you're sending a resume, you're telling them that it's a employer-employee relationship, even if financially it's not. And it just sets the groundwork wrong. So never ever send a resume. So the brand voice includes gathering your testimonials, getting your website up, picking what social media platforms you want to use, remembering we're going to use ones where our ideal client would actually find us. And also thinking about when we're doing our networking and our connecting with people, we don't just connect with our ideal client. We want to build our community of business owners and peers, because when you're supporting other people in business, you want to be able to say to people, if there's a problem they have, like your friend did, Sari, where they go, actually, I can't help you with this, but this is a person who can. That is super valuable. So knowing who you can refer people through to and who can solve other types of problems that you're not interested in solving. And also then, of course, looking at those legal aspects that we touched on just then with the insurance, but also having the right agreement documents in place that cover you and your client. So an agreement document, some people don't want to sign one or get one signed because they feel like it's just scary. The worst business disasters I've heard of have been from agreements not being signed. An agreement purely outlines the expectations of both parties. So both parties need to agree on the document and make sure that it's even and fair, and that it explains how things are going to work, how things are going to resolve, how things will, what the expectations are. All of those things need to be clear in your agreement so that there's no confusion. If there's confusion and things people start assuming stuff because there's no agreement in place, that's when it goes really, really pear-shaped and things can get really messy. So never skip that step. Okay, Katrina's another person I want to introduce you to. I think she's the last one of the students that I tell you about. And so when she first started off quite a few years ago, so she's been in business for a long time now, she ends up specializing in HR. And one of the things that she said was really important to her was that at the start, she wasn't sure what direction she wanted to take and what steps she needed to take moving forward. So very much a case of the whole rabbit hole scenario where we're kind of trying to find all of the answers so that we can take any step forward in our business, which is a really overwhelming place to be. And so when she gave me feedback about the course, she was saying that the direction and the steps that were given allowed her to kind of take a breather and focus and move forward much, much quicker. So to reduce that overwhelm, which is awesome. Okay, and then the fifth step, and not everybody wants to do these things, so this is why it's the fifth module, and you can't do these until you've worked out the other 4 modules, is scaling. So there's different types of scaling that you can do in your business. You can be changing your delivery method from one-to-one to one-to-many. You can be increasing your pricing model. You can be packaging your services so that you're earning a better income based on outcome rather than hours. You only have so many hours in a week, and trust me, you can't bill all of the hours that you're working. You still need to run your business. And this is the same problem your clients will have. They still need to run their business. So working out ways so that you can be spending as much time on the billable stuff or the things that is bringing revenue in is going to be one of those ongoing challenges that you have. And so thinking about how you can make it so that works best for you, you might think about stuff that you can offer that is evergreen. So whether it's solving problems where you've got a system in place that solves it for them and you don't need to keep on doing that in person, you can provide a solution through whether it's a course or whether it's through a checklist or a program. Anything like that. Might be some residual income there for you. Or as I said, you might want to scale by building your team and having subcontractors and support crew there to help you help your clients. So not everyone wants to do this. This is where you need to be clear on your definition of success, but you don't have to decide at the start either. You need to just see where you're at any point and decide then whether that's what you want to be doing or not, whether you want to scale. So those are the different areas, like bringing more people in, packaging your services, and also making it so that you're serving more than one person at a time. So you're saving yourself the time and that effort. Okay, so I've almost finished rambling at you. I want you to know that you can create the business that you want, and that this is all about creating a business that you want, your definition of success, your ideal client, your ideal service offering that makes you excited about solving someone else's problem. And I know that most people who start up as VAs love solving people's problems, but you want to do it really well, right? So you don't want to solve all the problems in a sort of half-assed way. You want to solve set problems in a really awesome way, because that will have a huge impact on other people. And for a lot of VAs, that's all they're looking for. Okay. So you can apply that framework using those particular steps to grow your business. I highly recommend that you do them in that sequence, whether you come along on the ride with us or not. Hopefully that will help you. Okay. So the Stellar Virtual Assistant course. If you've got any questions, just pipe up and let me know. So as I said at the start, if people enroll in the course tonight, they get lifetime access to the portal, as opposed to a 12-month access to the portal. So I don't want you to sit there thinking, oh God, I'm not going to be able to come back and check in on things. If I'm slow, something happens and, I've decided I'm, can't work on my business for a few months. I don't want you stressing out. So we've made it a lifetime access, but I want to let you know what you get. So the Stellar VA course gives you the VA startup method, and that is delivered via a portal that you log into, and it's got each section as I've laid it out there. So the U section, the skills, foundations, marketing and scaling, and a whole lot of different drop-down stuff. So what it includes is videos from me around what steps you can do, what things you need to consider. It'll have templates to support you. So some of them will be templates that you use in your business. So agreement documents, things like that. Other things will be questionnaires to help you work out where, what your skills are going, that you have, and what floats your boat, or who your ideal client might be. And to help you move forward with answering those questions for your business. So you'll have a workbook. By the end of it, with the workbook, you should be able to see very clearly that your business is unique to you, because it can feel like, especially at the start, that you're just one of many and it's all the same, but your structure will be very, very unique to you. So that method, that portal also includes guest training sessions in there. So you'll have an SEO session with Kate Toon. There's a mindset session with Dawn Katie. There's a session on if you want to specialize in offering services like Pinterest services. There's stuff in there about offering reception services, all sorts of different things. So I've had a few different guest speakers come in and do sessions that we've recorded, and we've popped in the portal there, so you can check in on them whenever you like. They're amazing. You also have access to our Facebook group, and the main thing that happens in the Facebook group, it's not a super chatty group. The main thing in there is getting notified of our mastermind sessions, which we have fortnightly on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, I think it is. And so that's when it's basically just like this, where we jump in and we go, hey, Libby, how are you going with things? What are your questions? What's happening for you? How can we help you move forward in your business? And because you've got other people there, you can kind of help each other out and also learn from each other, which is awesome. So they're the main things that we have with it. What I've noticed over the years is that some people like to dive in there and just work through it all and get things done, and it's all very awesome. Other people really want to have that one-to-one mentoring to go with it, where they can check in and have all their questions asked, have that guidance to support them and keep them accountable. So we have that as well. So you have a deep dive session with me, and then you have three one-to-one mentoring sessions, and that's on top of the group mentoring that you can tap into anytime you like. It's fortnightly on an ongoing basis, the group one, and that's for everybody. Okay, so lifetime access if you sign up tonight. I'm going to give you the link in the chat, so you can go and have a look at it. That's not the link. Just let me close this for a sec. This is the link. Now, this link won't stay open beyond, let me just make that full again. Can you still see share? Yep. It'll be open for the next few days, and then it won't be accessible anymore, because that way so you'll still have access today and tomorrow for the lifetime access. So you should see the link in the chat. So obviously you're wondering what's it going to cost. Okay, so the Stellar Plus is the one where we have the one-to-one mentoring in it. So you have a deep dive session with me. We go through all of what you're trying to achieve, any questions that you have before you get started. You can postpone that if you want to have a look through some of the content and then come back with a whole lot of questions. And then you have 3 that you can kind of, you can I have them, it's up to you what the sequence is like, whether it's fortnightly, monthly, every second month to touch base with me. So you'll have 3 sessions there. And so that's 2,250 plus GST, or you can do 5 installments, and the installments are monthly. The installments are 475. Now, if you don't want to have the mentoring part of it, but you still, as I said before, you still get access to the mastermind groups, but you don't get the one-to-one mentoring, it's 1,200 plus GST, or 4 installments of 330. So I want to make it as affordable for people as possible, clearly. But with either of these, you would still get the lifetime access to the portal and the mastermind sessions. Okay. So I've had people approach me before who have said, this is my course, this is what it's going to cost. And I look at it and I try to figure out how that's going to work for me financially. What I recommend is that you think about, okay, so how many clients will I need to make that worth my while? And then from there on, once I've paid that off with my first number of clients, everything else from there on is my profit. So you'll only need to pay that off it depends on what sort of service you're offering. And obviously, if you're really clear on your offering, who you're targeting, it'll be easy to earn enough money to pay that off. So thinking about how much one sale is worth for you. I'd be really interested, Sari, how much you tend to charge for, and you don't have to pop it in here, but I'd love to chat to you later about what you're charging out for the services that you're offering. And same with you, Libby, in terms of when people have come to you and said, hey, guess what? This is the project we're working on, how you worked out the pricing for that. But I won't put you on the spot in this recording with that, because that would suck. So if you paid $330 today for the first installment, how many clients would it take? So I want you to think about that to then make that back. And I'm a big believer too in terms of, if you cannot afford it, don't. Okay? Don't put yourself in financial stress if you cannot afford it. I don't want you going there. The other thing is we have a 7-day money back guarantee. So you can log into the portal, and if within 7 days you go, Rosie, this sucks and I don't like it, then I will give you your money back. Okay. You also get a copy of, and I should have a copy here. Here it is. Oh, you get a copy of this. I will post you out. This is the Reaching for the Stars book. It accompanies the course, and it is beautifully juicy, and you'll have that so you can sit there on the beach and go, I'm a business owner who's sitting on the beach working. And you can read that. So I will actually post that out to you. And because I've got some extra goodies here, you'll actually get some other stuff thrown in there as well, which is a nice little bonus, but I'm not going to tell you what, because that would ruin the surprise. So when I finish up this session, this is when technically that offer ends with the lifetime guarantee. As I said, I don't want to put any pressure on you. So that is the key difference. You can sign up at any other time you like if you're not interested in the lifetime access. I don't want you to have extra pressure. I know that starting up a new business can be a little bit hairy. And I want to support you with that. I don't want to be doing the whole fear factor thing. So if you do get started with it, it includes either the 12 months access or the lifetime access. You'll get regular training. Any good quality training that I do in the Virtually Yours network. Oh, that's one thing I didn't include in the Virtually Yours network. So Virtually Yours network is a community of Aussie VAs. It is a very active chatty group. We use both Facebook and a program called Discord to chat. Discord is like really chatty, and Facebook is more like your general questions, and we put all of our events and stuff in there. So there's monthly webinars, there's co-working days. Co-working days are virtual and online. They're the best. We have coffee catch-ups, again, virtual every month, right? Certain levels will have access to job leads. Job leads are really important for new VAs, right? So on the Stellar Plus level, you get 1 year access to the Connect level Virtually Yours membership. So you'll be seeing the job leads that come through that network. You'll have access to the community, access to the webinars, access to all of the events and stuff for a year as part of the Stellar Plus. plus the mentoring sessions with me. That being said, anytime you have any questions, you can email me anytime you like or message me through any of the platforms. I'm best through email, but I do respond to any of the other ones as well. So I got distracted then because I was going to tell you something else. What was the other thing I was going to tell you? That's probably super important. But the Connect level membership is worth 550 plus GST a year. And that's included free because I want you to have access to job leads. I think it's a really good starter to help you out. And also, when you can access the job leads and you're doing the Stellar training, you can send me through your example, like go, Rosie, I'm going to respond to this job lead. This is what I think I'm going to put in it. What do you think? Obviously, if I'm out on the road, I'll probably peruse it and give you as best advice I can. But if I'm sitting at the computer, for example, I'll be able to look through it, print it all out, and give you feedback and see, what you can do to improve on it. So the whole idea of this is to try and make it so that you're running a successful business. Okay, any questions?
Hey, Rosie.
Hello.
I'm a little curious about your pricing. The 330 in 4 installments, are they monthly, fortnightly, weekly?
Oh, monthly.
Quarterly?
Yes. Monthly. Yes, monthly. Yes,
Radio,
it's a bit of a breather between the payments. There's nothing like a high weekly installment to freak you out. No, I've made them monthly. Yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I probably should have written monthly in there, but I like to spice it up and force you to get off the microphone and ask questions. It's good. Trying to think what else there was. I was going to say before I moved over to the whole Viva membership thing, there was something there that I wanted to share, but I can't think what it was. Yeah, if you do start off your virtual assistant business and you go, okay, I get the sequence I need to learn this in, and I don't need the support to work my way through that, I do highly recommend you do look at the Virtually Yours membership anyway. So there's actually 3 levels of that. The first level is just a listing in the directory for a new VA. I don't recommend that as your access to it, because you won't get enough out of it. You won't get your return. People use the directory all the time, but you're not going to grow with that. So the next level is the Inspire level, and that's 33 plus GST a month. And that will give you access to the community, to the webinars, the co-working days, the coffee catch-ups, everything we offer except for the job leads. And then the Connect level, and you can pay for these monthly or yearly. If you pay yearly, you get a month free. And then the Connect level, which is what you get with the Stellar Plus, is where you get everything, including access to the job leads. To reduce confusion, though, there are 2 types of job leads that come through Virtually Yours. We have your regular job leads and your reference checked job leads. You wouldn't be able to apply for a reference checked job leads for a little while, because to get reference checked, you need to have 3 customers who you've either done a full project with or at least 3 months work with for each of them. And this can't be employees, past employees, they have to be clients. 3 who are happy for me to touch base with them and ask them some questions about how they're finding the support. If they love you, then we would reference check you and you'd be able to respond to the reference checked questions. Again, that being said, most job leads that come through are not for reference checked, they're for everybody. Okay, so does that make sense? Beautiful. All right, last chance for questions. Nope, that's it. I've answered them all. How are you feeling, Sari? Is that how you pronounce your name? I probably should have asked at the start.
Well, in America, it's Sari, and here everybody just says Sari, so it doesn't.
So I've changed it again. I've just added a whole new version. What do you prefer?
Probably Sari. That's what I'm most used to, but it doesn't matter. Like I promise you can call me whatever you want. I've been called worse. And I've handled it the same. So
oh my Lord, that's fabulous. And I commend you for that, because yeah, if you call me anything but Rosie, I'll probably be quite cranky. So well done. Yeah, that's good. So how are you feeling about it?
We don't have iPhones anymore because they would always answer us when my husband would talk to me.
Oh, of course.
They would think he was saying Siri, and the phone would respond, sometimes both phones.
Oh,
So
that would be so annoying. I've tried to do that in the car where I try to get my phone to put a song on and then mine doesn't listen, but my husband's that is in his pocket listens. Drives me mental. Yeah. So, all right. I'm going to wrap it up for the recording, but I'm still going to be here for you guys if you have any questions. So I'm just going to turn the recording off. For those who are listening to the recording, thank you so much for spending time with us. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'll obviously follow this up with some emails to let you know about the program and clarifying what we've spoken about. And you can return via email anytime. You'll always hear just from me. I do all my own emails. I'm not going to send you a bot or have somebody who's pretending to be me. So if you do have any questions, please do send them through.